When the PlayStation 5 got revealed, everybody reacted really sensibly to its design. Okay, maybe not. But why did so many people all have the same feeling about the PS5? Across the world, without talking, there was a collective decision that everybody made at the same time. The PS5 does not look good. Why does it matter? I mean, at the end of the day, it's just going to hide under your TV where nobody can see it. I mean, it's not like the first PlayStation looked good. And I love this design, even though it's basically an ugly grey square with some circles. Well, thanks to a bunch of psychology studies by Donald Winnicott, the answer to all of these design loves and hates is because your mummy took your teddy bear off you as a kid. When the PS5 was revealed, we didn't take a look at it and go, oh, that looks weird, get on with our day. Everything blew up. It's months later and people are still talking about it. So why did everybody have such a strong reaction to the PS5? It's related to something called anthropomorphism, which is where we project human qualities onto inanimate objects. It's why we said things like, my iPhone has died rather than run out of battery, or why Siri and Alexa are actually given names. We didn't just see the PS5 and other consoles as pieces of plastic, there's so much more. But we'd never even seen the PS5. So how did we already have thoughts and feelings that could even be hurt about it? Well, that's because Michael Fassbender and his work in the 1950s about how humans have an inbuilt desire to turn anything into a symbol. It's one of the reasons that he fell out with Viggo Mortensen and then... Wait, hold on, that's not right. Oh, it's Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud. Anyway, Carl Jung's work highlighted an innate desire for symbols in our lives and how we use those objects to represent us. Like, why do we wear crucifixes? Why do we get tattoos? Why do we have a favourite band or a favourite games console? These are symbols that cut across culture, countries and language to explain to people who we are. A PlayStation in your living room is a symbol that you belong to this tribe. It's literally what the console wars have been built on. So what if you're not a PlayStation fan? Why did everybody else around the world also have the same feelings about the PS5 being ugly as sin? Well, that's because it broke some of the Gestalt principles. The Gestalt principles are about the psychology of design, and I won't go into it too much, but basically these two that were broken are about what we expected the PS5 to look like. We expect games consoles to be sleek, black, minimalist shapes, not like this. Now this next law that it broke as well says that the human brain takes complex things and turns them into simple shapes to make it easy for us to understand. It's why you see a zebra here and not just a bunch of black lines. So that's another thing that consoles have been doing for years, simple shapes. And then this comes along. The design for the first two is not familiar in any sense, which confuses our brains. And for the third, we can't turn this complex, unfamiliar object into a simple one, confusing us even more. So now this idea of familiarity with a design is really crucial because of something called the mere exposure effect. James Cutting did some studies on art and found that the piece of art people saw more often was the one that they ended up preferring more. So over decades, seeing the similarity in Sega, PlayStation, Xbox designs, the mere exposure effect has meant that we've seen that design of console a lot and liked it more and more each time. Decades of exposure have made us like sleek black consoles more on a subconscious level. So while the very first games consoles were very practical in their design, over the years, more and more artistic elements have creeped in, like the circles on the original PlayStation. Now, especially with designs like the PS5, they're starting to look more and more like pieces of art you'd find on a plinth in an art gallery. But what if you get too arty with the design? So there is something called the inverse U-shape hypothesis in art that looks like this. Basically, what it means is that the very best art and design looks similar to what's gone before, but not too much. If you don't do something wacky enough, it's seen as boring and not pushing the boundaries, so it's down this end. However, if you go too far the other way on the U-shape, down this end, it's so far away from anything recognisable and our brains don't like it. This is why the phrase, the artist was never appreciated in their own time, relates to. When they were alive, all the stuff they did was way too different down this end for everybody at the time to look at it and understand it or make sense of it. It took the artist dying for the rest of the art world to catch up and for it to move forward in the curve so the artist goes back to here where it can be appreciated and liked. The PS5 didn't just do design tweaks to keep themselves at the top of the inverted U-shape. They went with a design overhaul, wildly away from anything we've seen before, and something that our brains were not expecting or used to, pushing them too far down this end. So yeah, Sony went all out and tried to design a piece of art. However, when they decided to make a piece of art, they made another mistake. They didn't actually assign an artist to the design. Now that's important because studies have shown in psychology that having a person associated to a work of art actually helps appreciate it more. Having the PS5 design come out of the faceless company that is Sony doesn't help us like it more. Whereas if they'd said that Hideo Kojima came up with a PS5 design, studies have shown that attaching any name to it meant that everybody would have liked it more. And the added bonus of having an artist for the design of the PS5 meant that they could have also blamed it on that person if it gets a bad reaction. Sorry, not our fault. Kojima's clearly lost it. So how is this all related to your mum taking a teddy bear off you as a kid? Well, when we were young and we're getting some independence, we use something called a transitional object to make us feel safe, like a blanket or a teddy bear you carry around all the time. As you get older, these objects change. And when you're too old for a teddy bear, what's next? For me, it was a Game Boy. It would go absolutely everywhere with me. And it's the same for a lot of people when they're young. Games consoles provide a refuge from the confusing world you're growing up in. So, from an early age, we're getting attached to a brand, a design, an idea, an object we invest in, and one we never expect to change, because change is scary to young kids. So in PlayStation, this object and this brand that we've invested in and loved go ahead and change our beloved sleek black design into a huge white monstrosity, we feel betrayed because it's not a brand we recognise anymore. It also wasn't what we expected. These feelings are multiplied because as gamers, the consoles we own are not just boxes, we've projected human qualities onto them. And if we have to look at it every day, it's jarring because it doesn't follow the Gestalt principles of fading into the background. But we can't display it too proudly either like a piece of art, because it's actually even too radical for art because it's gone too far past the inverse U-shape law. Now, the irony in all of this is that this design would have worked if it had just been designed by Nintendo. They love bonkers design that is wildly different with each new iteration. The PS5 even looks like an evolution of the Wii, for God's sake. Oh. For fuck's sake. Could everything that I've just done been summed up by a meme? Could I have just shown you this meme and gone, this is why you don't like the PS5? I didn't need to do all this psychology crap. Well, yeah, congratulations, society. You've actually done it. You've distilled all relevant human knowledge into meme form. I wasted all of this time. All of those psychology studies are a complete waste. What is the point? We just look at memes. Right. From now on, all of these shows are going to be explained by a meme. I mean, we might as well just be like, no, skip to the end, here's a meme's the answer. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. If you like or hate the PS5 design, it's a thing that will give you great games to play, so stop complaining. It is what it is.